Hey everyone, it's Amber with Amber Marie and Company. Today I'm going to show you how to make a cute Easter spring wreath using one of our best #1 selling items, and that would be this little PVC flocked bunny. Is that not just the cutest little guy? He's going to end up going right there in the middle of our wreath, and we're going to make some really beautiful pink flowers growing around him, a big gorgeous bow of course. I even have some real fun glittery little picks that we're going to use in this wreath. And I think it's going to be easy. I think you're going to love it. And you're going to love the way it looks on your front door. So let's get started. I'm going to start with just the basics of what I have here. I have one of our 18-inch wreaths right here. Okay. The very first thing you want to do when you're making a wreath is try to figure out which side of this wreath looks the most round. And I've decided that I want this, it's a little bit thicker. I want this to be the base part of my wreath where my bunny's going to go in and sit like this. And then I have some greenery picks. Oh, Winston's over there rolling around on the floor, having a good time. I have a few greenery picks. This will just kind of be the basis greenery. This is a eucalyptus bush. I have 2 of those to use, so lots of pretty greens. It's going to be my base. Then I have this really pretty floral bush right here. I love this. This is a pink ranunculus bush, and it has lots of clippings, so it's going to give us a nice, big, full pink flower. I have some small hot pink flowers that kind of match that little bunny. How cute is that? And then we're going to throw in a little bit of a yellow spring flower. I like this flower because it's a little bit longer, and it allows a little bit of movement on our wreath with our flowers. And then I also have some bright, fun Easter egg picks that I thought we could just throw in there. And how about some carrots? I mean, we have a bunny after all, so bunnies love carrots. And the Easter bunny, of course, brings all the Easter eggs, so that's why we have these fun picks. I have 3 egg picks. I don't know that I'll use all of them. We're going to see, but I always like to have just a little bit more when I'm designing a new wreath. This is something that I have not ever done before, so it's all very new. And I'm just trying to see what items I'm going to need. Right now I think this is the base. I think I have that pretty well covered. And then I have gorgeous ribbon, of course, because beautiful ribbon is what makes that wreath look so fantastic. And right now I have this really fun check. I did this because it had a real nice hot pink on it. Has some blue, some purple, some yellows, and then I'm bringing in just a nice solid purple as well, because I'm going to tie that back in with this on top. I'm going to bring this little Easter egg and then this cute little pattern. So I'm going to be using 4 ribbons on my bow, and I will show you how to do that bow here in just a little bit. So the very first thing in making this wreath is going to be figuring out how I'm going to get this bunny on my wreath. Okay? And I'm going to show you this all. It's going to be flat style, so hopefully you can see all the steps I'm going to go through. So I'm going to try to put this bunny right here in the center of my wreath. And of course, to do that, I'm going to attach it with some hot glue, but I also need something just a little bit more sturdy to make sure that it's going to stay in there very nice. So what I have done, this bunny is made out of a really nice, sturdy PVC plastic. And I went ahead and already punched one little hole in here just to try it and make sure I knew what I was doing before I got started here. I just got out a drill bit of my drill with a small little drill bit, and I'm just going to take, and I'm making 2 holes. I've made 1 hole right here, and I'm going to make the second hole just right here above the bunny's head and behind the ears. And the way that I measured that was I took my wreath, I sat my bunny in there, and I looked at where my bunny's head was going to connect to my wreath, and that's where I'm drilling the holes, right where it makes that connection. Here's my hole. There's where it makes the connection on the wreath, if you can see that. See where it makes the connection? And the same thing underneath here. So I'm just going to take my little bunny. I'm going to start right down here on the bottom. And I'm just going to put another little hole right down in here. Oh, hello. Gotta get a hold of my bunny. Okay. So I have 2 little holes right there on the bottom of my bunny. I'm going to do the exact same thing up here in the top. I've got 1 little hole. I'm going to drill the next one right next to it. Okay. Take all that plastic out of there. So I've drilled 2 little holes up top. Now this is the tricky part. I've got a nice piece of green floral wire right here, which you might be able to see. And I'm going to take that floral wire And I'm just literally taking and I'm making kind of like a hook. Okay, I want to try to make a hook so that I can stick my wire in and then retrieve it back out. So it's like I'm making kind of like a U. Right, see how I've done that with my wire? It's kind of a U shape. So let's see how well I do at this. I'm going to fish this in one hole, and I'm going to kind of watch it and see if I can get it fished right back out the second hole. Sometimes I'll use a little pair of needle nose pliers. Oh, I see it. To get it through there really good. There it goes. Okay. So there you can see it coming back out the other side. So I'm going to take that piece of wire right there, and I'm just going to twist that in real good. So that's my top wire. And then the same exact thing. Now you can use a zip tie. Sometimes I have really good luck getting a zip tie through there. But with this particular item, I decided to go ahead and use my wire just because I can manipulate that wire just a little bit more for that hook, so I can fish it out just a little bit easier. So I'm going to, again, put this through my little bunny here, and I'm just going to hook it right back up. So you can see it was not that hard to do the second time once I figured out how to do this. So again, remember, I have not made this wreath before, so we're doing this together for the first time. But you're going to learn from all of my adventures here, or misadventures, what I'm doing. So there I have my base, where I'm going to put my little bunny in the wreath, and then the back of his head. Both of those things have wire. So I'm going to start by putting the base of my bunny right down here, and I'm going to just feed that wire right through my wreath so I can wire this guy directly to my grapevine wreath. So that's also why we use grapevine wreaths, is because it's so much easier to wire items into, to glue items into when you're making a wreath. So just makes your life a little bit easier. Okay. Now I'm going to just kind of preliminarily wire this to my wreath, just doing a few twists down there just to kind of keep it solid. And then I'm going to come up here and really decide where I want my bunny to be. Up top here, I'm just looking at it. And then I'm going to poke my wire through up top. Exact same way. And that is how I'm going to wire my top of my bunny to this wreath. So I'm poking it through there. So you can see me doing that. Oh, come on, little wire. There we go. Okay. I'm poking this through the wreath too. And I'm just going to wire it in on the back side. There we go. Pulled my bunny through. I'm just going to take this now and turn it over. You can see I've got both sides on. I'm going to wire that back here. Nice and tight. And there, my bunny is now officially, almost officially, wired to my wreath. Now my very first, the bottom part of this bunny, I didn't wire him very tight to my wreath because I wanted to make sure I knew exactly where I wanted this little bunny to go. So I've got my bunny wired now, and I'm just going to set him in. The wire is really more support than anything. Just want to make sure I have good support on my bunny. But what's really going to help hold him into place is going to be my hot glue. So I'm going to take my hot glue gun, and right down here at the bunny base, I'm going to add some hot glue right there. I'm just going to press and hold my bunny right to my wreath. Okay, so I'm just pressing him down, holding him down so he makes a real good connection with my wreath. And that's going to be one of the key points to help hold Bunny in. And I use a lot of glue, y'all. I have a glue mat here, or a craft mat, and that craft mat helps hold and keep my surface from getting all the glue. So see, I have little glue bits right there that have gone through, and that's not a problem because I've got my trusty little glue mat there to help. I'm going to glue right up here where my little bunny head meets my wreath. I'm just going to press and hold that for a few seconds. So my bunny still may have a little bit of movement in my wreath, but for the most part, it's pretty solid. You know, I've got it wired in, I've got some glue holding it, so it's not going to fall off my wreath. It might move just a little bit, but that's okay. It's not going anywhere in the long haul. So, and I wanted to make sure too that my bunny, the little booty of my bunny doesn't stick too far on this side of the wreath, or else it'll push my wreath away from the door. So that's one thing we have to look at too when placing our bunny in our wreath. Okay, so there's the little bunny. Got him all ready to go. And the first thing I'm going to start with is actually not my greenery. I'm going to make my bow first. So I'm going to take a nice big fluffy bow, put it right down here, right in the middle of my wreath. And I'm going to start by using this really pretty, I love this. It's a real fun plaid. Look at all those fun colors. Isn't that so cute? So I'm going to make me a nice sized bow. And I'm going to start by just measuring this so I kind of know what my length of my bows are. I'm going to measure to a 12-inch. That's going to start with my tail. And then my next measurement of 12 inch, that's going to make the base of my bow. So that's basically making a 6-inch loop right here. Okay, you can see that little loop. And then I'm just going to start making my bow from that. Once I've measured my first loop, I don't have to measure every loop. All I have to do is just keep my loops in the same size by measuring them with one another. So that makes it nice and easy. I don't have to go back and go to my mat to measure every time. I just measure them with one another. And sometimes it's not exactly perfect, but nobody ever knows. All right, so there I've got I'm making my little funky bow pattern here. So I've got 2 loops on one side, 1 loop on the other. I'm going to come in with this fun purple pattern. And I'm just going to start this loop on this side here. 1 loop on this side. Twist and turn. Okay. I'm just making this loop just slightly smaller than the first loops I made. Keeping the pretty side of my ribbon out. Testing my loops to make sure they're the same size when I pull them. Okay, just like that. Super easy. That is number 2. Okay, so there's 1. Here's loops number 2. Layer number 2. I'm going to come back in with this really fun Easter egg. I love this ribbon. I use it all the time, and it's going to look really fun in this wreath because of all the colors. So, fun little polka dot Easter egg ribbon. I'm keeping this the same loop as that purple. So this loop was just a little bit larger, and then these loops are just slightly smaller. And I'm doing this really fast, so I know if you're having a hard time keeping up, you can always watch one of our bow tutorial videos that goes a little bit slower in explaining how to make a certain type of bow. If you're struggling, you can go into that tutorial and it'll be just a little bit more in depth. We have lots of different videos on our YouTube channel that show how to make various bows and also different wreaths for different seasons too. So there we go. That's what we've got going on so far. And I'm going to put some cute little carrots in this wreath. And since I'm putting carrots in this wreath, I want to tie it all off with this fun little carrot check ribbon. Now you'll notice on my ribbons, I've got a plaid, I have this polka dot, I have a solid, and now I'm going to end it all with another check. So lots of different textures of ribbon, shiny, sparkly, matte, and then also different sizes. This is one of our 1.5 inch ribbons. And this is just going to be the final couple of loops here of my bow. These loops are going to be considerably smaller because they're just the little tie-off middle section. Smaller, but yet the same size with one another. So I'm going to measure those out. Okay. Same thing. Just want to make sure all my loops are the same size. I pull those all up. Okay, I'm going to trim that off right there. Now I have my cute little bow. So I'm going to take, and this is when I'm going to move all of my little bow tendrils. I'm going to move all of my loops kind of in a placement that I want them so I can see everything. I don't want anything hiding behind anything. So I've kind of moved them all where I want them. I'm going to take 2 zip ties. One zip tie is going to secure this. One zip tie is going to hold it, secure it to my wreath. I'm going to take this little zip tie, I'm putting it right under my thumb and index finger because I want to make sure I get it right under the index finger to have it in the very middle of my bow. If I do not do that and I don't have it exactly in the middle, then all of the care that I took to make sure all my loops are the same size will not matter, because if I don't have it in the middle, one way left or one scoochy right means that I'm not going to have an even bow. So take care to make sure that that is even. Taking my other zip tie, securing it just like this, and that is going to be the beginning of our wreath here with Mr. Bunny. It's going to go right under Mr. Bunny. I'm going to secure it right here to the wreath. Like I said, right under Mr. Bunny, right here in the middle. Then we're going to trim the bow up and start adding beautiful flowers. So I'm just taking my zip tie like this, and I'm going to stick it through the wreath the same way I did with the other wire. Concentrating on getting that through. Okay, zip tying that to the wreath on the back side. Pulling that zip tie nice and tight because I don't want my bow going anywhere. That bow is going to stay. Clipping off the excess of my zip tie. Now look how cute that's already taking shape. Might just want to move some of my tendrils around just a little bit. Some of my bow, just moving it around to kind of get a good starting place where I want everything to kind of be. Okay. Go, got the middle of my bow right here. Now why don't I go ahead and cut all my little dovetails. So I'm going to dovetail all of my ribbon so it looks nice and polished and finished. And at any moment, if I see that one of my tails is in the way, maybe it's too long, I can always go back and change the length of that. But because once I'm done with the wreath, I am moving on to my next project, I always try to do this first so I don't forget to do it, because I would hate to hang this on my door, or I'd hate for a customer to take it home and then be like, ooh, look at those tails, right? I want it to be finished and polished and perfect, like really ready to go on your front door at home. So there we go, bunny, right? Put that little tail behind that. That bow up there. And of course, at the very end, I will really manipulate and maneuver my bow exactly how I want it. So right now, it's just a kind of a holding place or holding pattern. Everything is able to move in my bow, so it may not be perfectly where I want it, but it's really, really close. Okay, let's start with the greenery next. I'm going to take off all my tags here, put all my tags in one spot. And I'm going to clip this bush and I'm going to stick it right up here going up the side of my bunny on the side of my wreath. Let me get all of this out of here. Okay, so I've got my glue pot over here. I always have my glue pot going because it just makes it so much easier to take and dip items in my glue pot. I have a floral stem here that I use as a stir. I'm making sure my glue is about the consistency of honey. That's what I want it at. And then I'm going to trim all of these little pieces off right here. And I'm just going to set them to the side. And this is what I'm going to use to make the very beginning first layer of our gorgeous hot pink bunny wreath. And you know, y'all, pink is my favorite color, so that's why I chose to make a pink bunny wreath. This might end up going on my front door. You just never know. All right, I'm going to start right behind my bow here. And I'm going to get a nice amount of glue on my little glue stick. And I'm just going to start taking and sticking those little twigs in there. All this little greenery is just going to start making the base of my wreath, right? Most plants start with leaves on the base or on the bottom, so I'm going to do that exact same thing. I'm just creating my leaves. All my leaves here to make a nice, pretty base. I'm just going to let it kind of come out and then climb up our wreath as well. So I'm kind of going to start my little climb up here. And what's nice about working with hot glue too is that it'll stay in place unless you need to pull it out. And sometimes I have had to take a stem, I've placed it, and at the end I'm like, ooh, I don't really like what I was thinking there. What was I thinking? And I've pulled it out of my wreath and replaced it somewhere else. That happens to everybody. So if you have to do that, do not think you're a failure on your wreath making. Everybody has to do that. It's not anybody who says that they don't, that they just leave it. I don't think that they're telling the truth, so I wouldn't listen to them. Okay, there, isn't that looking pretty? And now I have one bush for this side and one for the other side. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to just add a little piece kind of coming right out the bottom. Too, you can kind of see that little piece coming out the bottom. All right, first stage greenery on this side complete. Second stage of greenery for side number 2. We're about to get cracking on. So here we go. I'm going to take all these, clip all those, take my tags off. And by the way, this bush is on ambermarieandco.com. It is called the eucalyptus bush. It has 8 clippings and it's $3.99. Okay. Tell me where you can go and get a $3.99 bush that has 8 clippings like that. It's a really, really good deal on this. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to start. I want my sides to be even in weight, but they don't have to be exactly even in placement, right? So wherever I place these, I'm not going to get concerned that it looks exactly even, right? I mean, generally, I want to have a general idea that if I have some greenery twigs sticking out and going down on this side, I want them going down on this side as well. So I want it to be somewhat symmetrical, but it's not going to be exact. I know that. I'm not planning on it to be exact because when in nature, do flowers ever grow exactly even, right? They don't. That's why we have to trim. That's why we have to plant, we have to prune, because nature is wild. Things grow wild. So why wouldn't it grow wild on our Easter Bunny wreath too? Same. It will. It's okay. Okay, I'm just going to keep going up. I want to kind of come towards the outside of my wreath coming up. Then I'm going to want to go towards the inside as well, not to be leaving anything out. And also, I'm doing this flat on a table. If you have a wreath stand, it really helps too to be able to see where your greenery is going to go and how it's going to lay on your wreath. So that's super duper helpful too if you have one. But I know a lot of people don't. So that's why I'm showing that you can do this flat on a table as well. Right? If you're just a beginner, you don't have all the tools of the trade, it is okay. We all start somewhere, so I just wanted to show you today, whoever's watching, that you can start by using your kitchen table. You don't have to have an easel. Easels help a lot, I will tell you. They help tremendously, but if you don't have one, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so there's my greenery. It's similar in pattern to each side, but it's not exact, and I'm not worried about that because we still have multiple items to put on here that are going to help fill this whole thing out. In fact, we're going to start next with, let's start with our big flowers next. Let's place our big flowers. And this bush has 12 clippings and it's $4.99. This is a ranunculus bush times 12, available at ambermarieandco.com. So since there's 12, I want to put 6 approximately on each side. So I'm going to clip all these off. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. Save you for one side. And these others I'm going to clip are going to go on the other side, let's say. So let's place these big flowers here. Maybe on this side. Here we go. All right, I'm going to push this up just a little bit. Clip this down just a little bit because I don't need that big. I'm going to bend it just slightly. I'm going to come in here and just start filling in this wreath too. I have lots of items to put in this wreath, and they're all relatively inexpensive. So I am not overly concerned about the placement just yet. I just want to make it look nice and full with flowers. So that's what I'm doing right now. Just adding these pretty pink flowers everywhere around in my wreath. Okay, go ahead and have this growing all the way up. Just sticking all those stems right into the base of my wreath. Everything is just growing up here. Gotta have something growing kind of towards the inside here too. Okay, and then now something on the outside right here too. And when your stems are this long, when you clip them from whatever bush that you took it off of, I always trim them down just a little bit. Makes it just a little bit easier to slip in. So there we have our first round of pink flowers. And again, no particular pattern on this side. Just trying to make it kind of look full and place things spread out, you know. That's the biggest thing, is spreading it out. Don't glue everything straight all the way into your wreath. Like, let it stick out and away and give it room to breathe. So that's approximately 4 inches. This flower is approximately 4 inches away from the base of my wreath. Sometimes I find people glue everything right down straight to the wreath, and it looks so compact, and while it might look really full, it's just there's no breathing room. And it's like all the flowers are just trying to suffocate to survive in your wreath because they're just choking. They're just so tight in there. So give it some air. Give it some room to breathe. Okay, and we have plenty to put in here. So, you know, we don't want everything to be so close and so tight to the wreath that it doesn't flow. If a breeze blows on your front door, I want your flowers to blow a little bit, you know? Like, let them move. Let it look real. Give it just some character, for lack of a better term. So again, putting that kind of on the inside there. And all of these stems are also wired, which is great. I can always move them and manipulate them once I glue them in. If I need to scoot it over a little bit more and I've already glued it, it's okay. That wire will help me. Okay, down to my last and final stem here. Get a good amount of glue here. And we're going to come right up here and put it right here at the top. There we go. Okay, so there we go. Look how cute that's already looking. I mean, for some people, you can stop right there if you want to. Now, you know I'm not going to stop there because I like everything to be overboard, wow, amazing, and crazy. So I'm going to keep going with some more plants. This little bush right here is called a mini flower bush. It has 9 clippings, and it is also $4.99. So what great deals. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 for one side, 4 for the next side, and then 1 extra because there's 9. And what I do with that 1 extra one is I wait and I just see at the very end. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, I kind of have a little hole there. And if I do, I take that 1 extra and I place it there. So I'm going to take 1 and automatically set it over here to the side. Amber, you're not using that until the very end if you have a hole and you need some filler. Okay. So this little stem right here, it's a hard wire with lots of little plastic flowers here. And I'm just moving these up. Some artists call this a pusher stem, where you can move those items up the stem. So see, originally it looked like this, and I've just pushed them all up to bring them to the surface of my stem. And the reason that I'm doing that is I don't necessarily need height on this wreath. I'm looking more for like ground cover, right? I'm looking more for the width, just to add some things in there to kind of camouflage my wreath. So I'm going to push those up. Like I said, don't need height. I just need filler of these really cute pink flowers. So I'm just coming in here and I'm just taking these and it's my second layer. Some little pink flowers in there just to kind of mix in really pretty with those larger flowers we have. Pushing all those stems up and just filling in some gaps. Okay, filling the gap right in there. Something coming towards the middle there. Got one more stem here. I'm going to bring this up top, right up in here. Put this right back here. So I have a little filler right there on the top. Okay, same thing on the other side. Let's just turn that little baby over. Push these stems up a little bit. Now on the flip side, what's nice about if you have that long stem and you need some height, you can always use that stem to give your flowers a little bit more height. So if I wanted to glue my stem back underneath this bow, but have it sticking out more this way, so you could use that long stem to do that, to have it sticking out. It's not necessarily what I need in this wreath, but I'm just wanting to show you what your options are on these wreaths and why pusher stems like this are very, very popular, because they just help with that so much. And again, as I'm placing these in, I'm getting a nice amount of glue. And I'm also kind of curling the wire just a little bit to kind of, I kind of take my stem, I push it, then I kind of bend it just a little bit so it's coming up. I want it to be coming up and out. So that's what I'm doing right now. I can do that right here with this little guy. Up and out. Okay. There we go. So now, so far, I have my pink ranunculus. I have that little pink little filler bush in. I've got some really pretty greenery in, and it's looking really, really cute already. Is it not? I love it. Now, I have one more flower I'm going to put in, and that's this really pretty yellow. I like this because, look at that. It's just going to add pops of yellow, which I have here in my bow. So I'm going to do that real fast here. Got 1, 2, and this bush is also $4.99. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it has 8 clippings on it. So I'm doing 4 on each side. $4.99. What a great deal! Now, of course, all of this adds up, but when you're starting at $4.99 for these flowers, is such a good price. It's a really good deal. Sometimes you'll go and you'll see at craft stores these flowers might be $8.99 or $12.99 for a bush. So really, really great deals with Amber Marine Company. And that's because, you know, as I'm purchasing, my mom and I go and we purchase at market, we're thinking, okay, you know, how many clippings am I going to get off of this? How far is it going to go? And then what is that going to cost? Like, you know, of course, there's some really gorgeous items, some really gorgeous wreaths or flowers that you can find, and they're beautiful. They're so realistic, but they can be, you know, $20 to $40 for the whole entire bush. And once you go to start making a wreath, you know, especially if you're a beginner, you don't want to use, you know, $40 and $50 bushes and then not like your project. So great to use as you learn and gain expertise, but maybe not the best for a startup or a beginner, right? Because I will admit there are some, especially during the Christmas season, there's some really pretty flowers that are quite expensive, but I feel comfortable using them because I have done wreaths for several years. I don't want to say how many, okay? Don't make me say it. But several years. And so I feel pretty confident in my abilities to use those items. So there we go. But if you are a beginner or you're still learning, or maybe you just like to make inexpensive wreaths because you want to resell, or maybe you have an Etsy shop, or maybe you are just liking to make things. It's like your pastime. It's what makes you happy. Then maybe you just don't want to spend a high budget. So again, also why shopping on ambermarieandco.com for flowers is so great. And then also, if you are a maker, we do offer wholesale as well for some of our florals. So if you have a tax ID, you can apply and grab these beautiful flowers wholesale. Look at that, guys. I'm just so excited about it. It's just looking so cute, isn't it? Now, if you are just a garden bunny type and you just love this, you can leave it just like this. I love it. It looks beautiful. You don't have to do a thing. But I am a whimsy type. I like all whimsy things. So I have these really fun whimsy carrots. These are also available at Amber Marie Company. They're $8.99 for this. So besides our focus, which is our bunny, and of course the cost of ribbon, because I used 4 ribbons in here. You obviously don't have to use that many. But I love all the variety and texture. And plus, I just used a little bit of ribbon. So I'm going to use this for something else. But this is probably the most expensive pick that we've used, and it's only $9. So I'm going to take these carrots and I'm going to just peel them all away from this branch because I don't need the stem. I like them better individually, so I can place these carrots wherever I want. So I have 2 of these stems. I'm going to cut 3 carrots to go up on this side and 3 carrots to go on our other side too. I'm making this fun and whimsy. Oh, one thing, if you ever get in a stem and like this one, like the top comes off because it's just glued, just dip it in your glue. You know, sometimes maybe whoever was making this dish didn't get quite enough glue on there. That's how they come anyways. So just dip it on there, hold it, let it get secure on there. There's my carrots for this side. Don't think your floral stem is damaged because it's missing something. Just fix it. You've got the glue gun. You've got the power right there to do it. All right, so let's take these cute little carrots and let's place them, shall we? I'm going to have one coming right up here. Let's see. Little carrot needs a little configuration. Let's see. Where do I want you coming? Right here. I really want these carrots coming on up my wreath because I'm also going to be putting in one of these fun Easter egg picks. So maybe I should start with that real quick because it takes up a little bit more room. This little Easter egg pick is $6.99. It has these little sprigs and some foam Easter eggs. Is that not cute? So this would be really fun if I took it and I just stuck it coming right out of my bow. Oops. I accidentally snagged one of my little flowers off here. Go back on. All right, so I'm going to take this trim down and I'm going to stick it, and I want my egg to come just exploding right out of my bow here. Get a nice, good amount of glue on this because it's a real big pick. And I really want to stay where I'm going to put it. I'm coming in right behind my bow. And I'm just going to take that pick in. I'm just trying to find a good place inside my grapevine wreath there to stick it. There, I found a good spot. I'm going to take and I'm going to maneuver some of these eggs in and around my flowers because I don't want to hide all my flowers. I want those eggs just to look like they're just exploding and just popping out of my wreath, out of my bow right there. Like the flowers are meant to be where they're at. The eggs are meant to be where they're at. And I'm just going to pop that guy right down in there. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay. Taking my other egg pick, trimming it down just a little bit. Going to pull my bow back. Put a nice amount of glue on this guy. Try to get all those little glue strands off. Going to put it right down in here. Exactly the same. Maneuver and manipulate my little eggs to go in and around my flowers. So I'm sticking it in just like that. So you can see I've got the pink ones coming down, purple ones coming up. You know, it doesn't have to be exactly matchy-matchy from side to side. I'm not concerned about that at all. Then I'm going to take, and I've got some more of these little sprigs, so maybe I'll put these other little sprigs in next. These are $4.99, these little curly foam sprigs. And it's just the exact same thing that's on my Easter egg pick. What it does is it just kind of helps extend this fun glitter on up to my wreath, right? So I'm going to probably take these and put these in just about right here to kind of expand that really fun glitter whimsy I've got going on to the rest of my wreath. So let's do that. Let's just stick it right in here. Okay. I'm going to look at where my flowers are here, kind of manipulate these, bend this pick just a little bit. So I've got flowers coming out. I've got glitter coming out around my flowers. Kind of have it hid like it's just totally being incorporated into our wreath. Put that one back there just a little bit here. Coming in. So there we go. There's my little curly fuzzy pick. Same thing. Trimming it down just a little bit. I don't need that long stem to deal with. I'm going to get a nice amount of glue on this. I'm going to come right back up in here. Just place it right down in here. There we go. So now it's just helping extend out that fun little bit of whimsy we have here. All the way up to the tip of our bunny. Curl that. Oops. Curl that up and in. Coming right out. Oh, how cute is that looking? I love it. All right, now for those fun little carrots I'm going to place in here. Let's put those little guys in. So I'm just going to take this little carrot. I'm going to put it right behind my little Easter egg pick right here. Just coming up and out. Just like this. I've got my other little egg pick. I'm going to come kind of right behind it. I think, let's see, should I put it right in there? Or right inside here? Maybe I'll put it right inside. That looks like a cute spot for it, actually. Okay, and I'm putting these kind of close together because I feel like on this wreath, it's going to make more of a statement for my carrots to kind of be grouped together. So see, I have one coming out here, one kind of coming out there, and I'm going to bring one and put one right up here, right in the middle. So I'm kind of making, I guess, what you would call a triangle on my carrots to kind of just help that little trio. So see how I've done that? It looks like a kind of a triangle. There's two and then one up top, right up there, just sticking out. And I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side. Now, it may not be in the exact position. Like, I like for it to be close to, so it can be sort of mirror image, but I'm not going to get out a measuring tape or a ruler to make sure that I'm exact, okay? So if it's not exact, I'm okay with it. But it'll probably be pretty darn close. So there's one here, kind of towards the outside a little bit. And these are also wired, so if I ever get one where I'm like, oop, it's not exactly where I want it, just use the wire and the actual pick to kind of move it around to where you do want it. This one coming towards the inside. And then my third and final one, got right up here, is going to come right up top. Okay, so let me see. How's it looking? Are they pretty close? They're pretty close. This one might just be a little bit higher on this side, but that's okay. They are very, very close. Here's my third and final carrot. It's going right up here, right in the top. Good amount of glue on it. Sticking it right down in my wreath. And there we go to the top. Again, the wire, you can kind of manipulate that carrot wherever you want it to go. So there we have our beautiful Easter egg wreath. Now remember, I still have this one little pick, so I might look around and just see if there's any place I feel like I need it. If there's not, sometimes I'll take and I'll use that flower right in the middle of my bow. So let's just say everything's perfect on here. I have everything placed correctly. I did it right. And I want to put this little flower in the middle of my bow. I'm going to trim, push all these little petals up the best I can, trim it the best I can, all the way down. And then I'm going to spread out my little ribbon about where I think I want it, because once you place that in there, it's not impossible to move your bow, but it's not really very easy either. I'm going to place that flower right in there. Okay, right in the middle of everything, just to kind of tie it all off and make it look like the ribbon's just growing right out. This little guy, if I feel like it's just kind of in the way, I might just take and tuck it back in here, wherever I want it to be. So there you go. There you have this cute little Easter bunny wreath. I love it. I think it's so cute, and I think you're going to love it too. It's easy to do. Thank you for watching with me today and following. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you know that you can do this. Give yourself the confidence. You got to start somewhere. So this is maybe not the easiest wreath to start with, but we have several wreaths on our videos that you can use. And again, you know, you're not going to get anywhere until you start. So start making, start creating. And again, you can follow us on our YouTube channel. I'd love for you to hit that like button, subscribe, ask me a question, tell me a comment. You know, it's always interesting when you're doing these videos because you don't have feedback during, but feedback after is great too, so I appreciate it. And of course, shop with us. We're located in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have a fantastic website. That's ambermarieandco.com, where you can find all of this little stuff for your wreath, the bunnies, and much, much more. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I hope you will leave me a comment.